The story opens with the young woman, Clara, stepping off a creaky, dusty stagecoach into a small frontier town, her heart fluttering with a mixture of hope and anxiety. She has spent weeks traveling from her hometown, leaving behind the familiar comforts of family and community, seeking a fresh start in a place where opportunities are scarce and life is harsh. Her modest belongings are bundled in a worn satchel, and her practical dress, though neat, shows signs of travel, her boots scuffed, her apron already slightly soiled. Yet, despite the hardships of her journey, her determination is palpable. She has been offered a position as the cook for a nearby ranch, a place she knows little about, save for the reputation of its owner as a man who runs a tight ship. As Clara approaches the ranch, she is struck by its scale. Unlike the modest farms she is accustomed to, this ranch stretches across acres of untamed land, dotted with barns, corrals, and grazing cattle. The wind sweeps through the open plains, carrying the smell of hay, leather, and livestock. The sun casts long shadows across the dusty ground, highlighting the rugged beauty of the American frontier. Clara feels both awe and trepidation. The place is enormous, and the work she will undertake is likely far more demanding than anything she has experienced. The first figures she sees are the ranch hands, cowboys in worn hats and dusty boots, lounging casually or tending to horses. Their laughter carries across the yard, rough and boisterous, and some glance her way with curiosity, others with mild suspicion. Clara senses that she must quickly prove herself if she hopes to earn their respect. She swallows her nerves, straightens her shoulders, and steps forward confidently, trying to appear both capable and friendly. Her introduction to the men is awkward but polite. They tease her gently, testing her resolve, and she responds with quick-witted remarks and a hint of humor, which seems to surprise them. Amid the rowdy greetings and playful banter, she notices a man standing slightly apart from the others. He does not speak, does not laugh, and seems entirely absorbed in his observations of the ranch and its workers. His posture is relaxed yet commanding, and there is a quiet intensity in his gaze that makes her pause. She feels a flicker of curiosity, but she quickly dismisses it. After all, he is just another cowboy, likely as stern and unapproachable as the others appear at first glance. Clara is then led to the ranch kitchen, a large utilitarian space with rough wooden tables, hanging pots, and shelves stocked with basic supplies. It is functional but worn, reflecting years of hard work rather than luxury or comfort. She is introduced to her duties, preparing meals for the cowboys, keeping the kitchen clean, and managing the small storeroom. The tasks are physically demanding, requiring endurance, strength, and efficiency, but Clara welcomes them. She finds a sense of purpose in the rhythm of chopping, stirring, and baking, a grounding that counterbalances her nervousness about fitting in. Throughout her first day, she observes the dynamic of the ranch, the camaraderie among the cowboys, the structured chaos of their routines, and the subtle but evident hierarchy that governs their interactions. She notices small details, the way the men respect certain boundaries, the careful handling of animals, and the unspoken rules that maintain order in such a rugged environment. These observations will serve her well in the days to come, helping her navigate the social landscape of the ranch. By the end of her first day, Clara is exhausted but exhilarated. She realizes that this ranch, with all its challenges, offers more than employment. It offers an opportunity to prove herself, to carve out a place in a world that is both unforgiving and full of possibility. And though she does not yet know it, the quiet man she observed from afar holds a role far more significant than she could have imagined. A revelation that will later shift the course of her journey entirely. Clara's second day at the ranch begins with a mixture of anticipation and apprehension. Yesterday, she survived the initial chaos of meeting the cowboys and navigating the immense kitchen, but today she knows she must start earning their genuine respect. The sun rises slowly over the open plains, painting the sky with soft oranges and pinks, as if the land itself is awakening along with her. She feels a small thrill of independence. This is a world where hard work defines a person more than social connections, and she is determined to prove herself. As she steps into the bustling ranch yard, she is immediately confronted with the raw energy of ranch life. Cowboys are moving livestock, checking fences, and repairing equipment, their movements precise but powerful. They work in unspoken coordination, a team molded by the demands of the land. Clara notices the hierarchy in action. Some men bark orders or advice, others respond with efficiency and quiet compliance. She realizes quickly that her position as a cook places her on the periphery of this tightly knit unit. But she also senses that food is central to the ranch's daily rhythm. The meals she prepares will directly impact the men's energy, mood, and morale. This awareness fuels a newfound sense of responsibility. Her initial interactions with the Cowboys are cautious. A few try to charm her with casual jokes, testing her wit. Others are blunt, scrutinizing her work as if sizing her up for weaknesses. Clara responds with a mixture of politeness and quiet confidence, meeting humor with humor, assertiveness with calm assurance. She notices the subtle glances and murmured comments. The Cowboys are curious about her, but they are not easily impressed. Each day, she feels like she must balance competence with humility, showing strength without overstepping into arrogance. Amid this chaotic energy, her attention keeps returning to the quiet man. Unlike the others, he is reserved, watching the ranch and its people with measured, almost calculating attention. He does not rush to speak, but when he does, his words are few and meaningful, often offering guidance or correction in a tone that commands respect. Clara cannot help but feel a strange mixture of intrigue and intimidation in his presence. There is something in the steadiness of his gaze, a subtle authority that does not rely on loudness or dominance, which sets him apart from the boisterous men around him. She senses that he notices her as much as she notices him, though she convinces herself that he is merely another observer, detached and uninterested in the newcomer. As the morning progresses, Clara begins to navigate the practical challenges of her role. She prepares meals for the Cowboys, learning quickly what pleases their palates and what sustains them through long hours in the sun. She adapts her recipes on the fly, balancing taste with efficiency, realizing that cooking on a ranch is as much about endurance and resourcefulness as it is about skill. Her first successful lunch earns murmurs of approval from the men, subtle but significant gestures that signal she is beginning to earn her place. By midday, Clara experiences a moment of quiet reflection. Standing at the edge of the yard, watching the men move with coordinated effort, she feels a blend of pride and humility. The ranch is harsh, its routines grueling, yet there is an unspoken poetry in its rhythm, the blending of human effort, animal instinct, and untamed nature. She understands that surviving here is not only about physical strength, but about patience, observation, and respect for those who have long called this land home. As the sun dips low, casting long shadows across the yard, Clara's impression of the ranch solidifies. It is a place of hard work, rugged beauty, and strict social order. But it is also a place where she can grow, learn, and find her own strength. The quiet man, still observing from afar, remains a mystery, a silent presence that sparks both curiosity and an inexplicable sense of comfort. Clara has taken her first real steps into this world, unaware that this man, whose presence she feels without fully understanding, holds the key to much of her future on the ranch. By the third day, Clara begins to feel that the ranch is less like an intimidating fortress and more like a living organism she must learn to navigate. The initial novelty of her new life has worn off, replaced with a steady rhythm of chores, meals, and the subtle social dance required to exist among the Cowboys. She wakes before dawn, the cold morning air nipping at her cheeks as she steps outside to hear the first stirrings of the ranch, horses nickering, cattle lowing in the distance, and the rhythmic clatter of boots on wooden floors. Every sound seems amplified in the vast openness, and she senses that life here is measured not by hours, but by tasks accomplished, livestock cared for, and meals prepared. The kitchen has become her domain, and she approaches her work with both diligence and curiosity. Clara quickly learns the importance of efficiency. A Cowboy's meal cannot wait, for a missed breakfast might mean an exhausted worker in the heat of midday. She improvises with the ingredients at hand, discovering clever ways to stretch simple staples into hearty, satisfying meals. Her confidence grows each time a cowboy nods in approval, or when one of the men quietly compliments a dish before returning to their work. These small victories are meaningful. They remind her that she is not just surviving in this rugged world, but contributing in a way that matters. Outside the kitchen, Clara studies the Cowboys with increasing awareness. Their routines, their joking, their unspoken rules, all form a delicate social structure she must learn to respect. She notices how the men anticipate each other's actions and communicate without words, how certain cowboys hold sway over decisions, and how loyalty and trust are earned, not demanded. Clara realizes that her own place in this hierarchy depends not only on skill, but also on her ability to observe, adapt, and respond appropriately. Her keen eye for detail, developed from years of managing a household, becomes an asset here. She sees patterns others might miss, notices moods, and predicts needs before they are spoken. The quiet man, still a constant but mysterious presence, begins to interact with her more often, though always subtly. A passing nod, a quiet question about the food, or a rare smile acknowledges her growing competence. She senses an unspoken approval, though she cannot yet put words to it. There is an air of restraint in his demeanor, an aura that commands attention without demanding it. Clara is drawn to him, curious about his silence and the depth of his observation. Yet she maintains a cautious distance, mindful that assumptions in this rugged environment can be dangerous. Gradually, Clara's relationships with the Cowboys deepen. She earns respect through small acts of competence. A perfectly cooked meal after a long day in the sun, a quick repair in the kitchen, or a gentle word of encouragement when tempers flare. Even those who initially teased or doubted her begin to see her as a reliable, capable member of the ranch family. She discovers that earning trust here is not about proving strength through confrontation, but demonstrating consistency, reliability, and resilience under pressure. As she settles into the rhythm of ranch life, Clara begins to appreciate the subtle beauty of her surroundings. The sprawling fields, the sunsets that bleed across the sky in shades of amber and crimson, and the quiet moments in the barn after the day's chaos create a sense of belonging she hadn't anticipated. She feels a connection not just to the land, but to the people who work it, a bond forged through shared labor, mutual respect, and the understanding that life here is hard but rewarding. By the end of the week, Clara is no longer just a new cook. She has become a part of the ranch's ecosystem, aware of its nuances and beginning to understand its rhythm. The quiet man's presence remains a steady, silent influence, a reminder that beneath the ruggedness of the ranch lies a network of unseen power, observation, and potential connection. Clara has begun to carve out her place, both physically and emotionally, in a world that once seemed overwhelming but is slowly becoming hers. After several days of finding her footing, Clara begins to feel more confident in her role at the ranch. She has learned the routines, gained a small measure of respect from the Cowboys, and even started to notice subtle interactions with the quiet man whose presence still intrigues her. However, the relative calm of her first week is about to be disrupted. Life on a ranch is never simple, and the Cowboys' rough, unpredictable nature soon tests her in ways she has not yet encountered. The conflict begins subtly. One of the rowdier Cowboys, Sam, notices Clara's growing confidence and decides to test her. He is a man used to asserting dominance and having others fall in line without question. At first, his challenges are small, questioning her cooking choices, teasing her about her inability to lift heavy sacks of flour, or making offhand jokes about women on a ranch. Clara tries to ignore these jabs, focusing on her work, but Sam is relentless, pushing the limits of her patience. His behavior creates tension in the kitchen and across the ranch, drawing attention from the other men, some of whom quietly watch to see if she will crack under pressure. Clara realizes that she cannot respond with meekness. The ranch, she understands, values strength, cleverness, and resilience above all. She chooses to confront Sam in a way that demonstrates not only her capability, but also her intelligence. When he mocks her ability to cook for the Cowboys' hearty appetites, she challenges him to a small test. She prepares a full meal tailored to the men's tastes and subtly adjusts each dish to their preferences. Her cooking is precise, flavorful, and hearty, exactly what the Cowboys need after a morning of hard labor. The response is immediate. The other Cowboys, who have been silently observing, are impressed. Sam, initially smug, finds himself unable to deny the quality of her work. Clara's cleverness and skill leave him speechless, and the power dynamic begins to shift. By standing her ground, she demonstrates that respect on this ranch is earned through competence and resilience, not mere conformity or deference. Her actions establish that she is not someone to be underestimated or pushed aside. Meanwhile, the quiet man observes everything from a distance. He has said little throughout the confrontation, but his eyes reflect a quiet approval. He is impressed not only by Clara's ability to handle the situation, but also by the calm determination she displays in the face of hostility. His respect, though unspoken, begins to grow, laying the groundwork for a subtle connection that will develop later in the story. Clara notices his attention, but misinterprets it at first. She assumes it is mere curiosity, unaware of his significance or authority over the ranch. The conflict also serves another purpose. It strengthens Clara's bond with the other Cowboys. They see that she is not intimidated and that she contributes to the ranch's daily survival in meaningful ways. Gradually, their teasing diminishes, replaced by camaraderie and a begrudging admiration. She begins to understand the nuanced social dynamics of the ranch, how challenges and confrontations can act as tests of character, and how those who prove themselves gain acceptance and trust. By the end of this period, Clara has not only defended her position but has also gained a deeper understanding of the complex web of respect and hierarchy that governs the ranch. The conflict has sharpened her instincts, increased her confidence, and demonstrated her value in ways words alone could not. More importantly, it sets the stage for her evolving relationship with the quiet man, whose authority and subtle influence loom over the ranch, unseen but unmistakable. Clara now knows that life here is not just about hard work. It is about navigating personalities, asserting herself, and proving that she belongs. Life on the ranch, though grueling, has begun to settle into a rhythm for Clara. She has earned a degree of respect from the Cowboys, proven her competence, and even caught the subtle attention of the quiet man whose presence lingers in the background. However, the frontier is unpredictable, and the ranch, despite its size and careful management, is never immune to danger. On this particular day, Clara is about to discover that courage and quick thinking are as essential as skill in the kitchen. It begins innocuously enough. A sudden, violent storm rolls across the plains, dark clouds swallowing the horizon and gusts of wind whipping the dust into blinding swirls. The Cowboys, used to the harshness of the land, spring into action, trying to secure animals, tighten loose equipment, and prevent damage to the barns and stables. Clara, caught off guard by the intensity of the storm, initially feels panic creeping in. The howling wind rattles the kitchen windows, and she can hear the distressed calls of horses and cattle outside. For a moment, she considers retreating to safety, but instinct and responsibility push her forward. Clara quickly assesses the situation. One of the horses, spooked by the thunder, has broken free and is racing toward the fence, threatening to trample the feed storage. Another cow is trapped near a fallen branch in the corral. Without hesitation, she grabs a rope and runs toward the chaos, her heart pounding with fear and adrenaline. Each step feels heavier than the last, but she focuses on one task at a time, prioritizing the safety of the animals and minimizing potential damage. Meanwhile, the Cowboys are occupied with their own challenges, shouting commands over the wind, trying to maintain control. Sam, the same man who had tested her earlier, struggles to secure the loose livestock. Clara's quick thinking allows her to anticipate the horse's path, gently steering it away from danger and then freeing the trapped cow with careful maneuvering. Her actions are precise, calm, and surprisingly effective, demonstrating a bravery that is both practical and selfless. The other Cowboys begin to notice her courage, and murmurs of respect ripple through the storm-lashed yard. Amid the chaos, the quiet man finally steps forward from his usual perch on the edge of the barn. He moves with calm authority, directing the Cowboys and coordinating the rescue efforts with efficiency and quiet confidence. Clara, still focused on her tasks, realizes that this man, who has observed so much without speaking, is a master of control and leadership. His subtle presence reassures her, giving her a sense of stability amidst the tumult. The two of them, unspoken allies, navigate the storm's challenges together, their actions complementing one another even without words. By the time the storm passes, the ranch has sustained minimal damage thanks to Clara's quick intervention and the Cowboys' collective efforts. Exhausted but exhilarated, Clara surveys the scene. She realizes that she has earned more than respect. She has proven her mettle. She has discovered a strength within herself that she had never fully acknowledged, a courage born not from fearlessness, but from persistence, adaptability, and the willingness to act when others might hesitate. The storm leaves a lasting impression. The Cowboys' attitude toward Clara shifts noticeably. Their teasing has lessened, replaced by admiration and acknowledgement of her capabilities. Even Sam, who once challenged her, offers a reluctant nod of approval. The quiet man, though still reserved, allows a small smile to cross his face, a silent acknowledgement of her courage and quick thinking. Clara realizes that the ranch is more than a place of work. It is a community where strength, resourcefulness, and bravery are recognized, even when demonstrated by someone who initially seemed like an outsider. This dangerous situation cements Clara's growing confidence, her place in the ranch hierarchy, and the beginning of a bond with the quiet man. She has not only survived the storm but has begun to thrive within the unpredictable rhythms of ranch life. The event foreshadows future challenges, showing that her resilience and courage will be crucial in shaping her journey and her relationships within this rugged, unforgiving world. After the storm, life on the ranch gradually returns to its steady rhythm, but Clara feels a subtle shift in the way things unfold around her. The Cowboys have grown more respectful, their teasing replaced by a mix of admiration and cautious camaraderie. Even Sam, who once challenged her at every opportunity, now nods in approval when she executes her tasks efficiently. Yet the most intriguing change is not in the loud gestures of the ranch hands, but in the subtle, almost imperceptible attention of the quiet man whose presence has both fascinated and intimidated Clara since her arrival. He remains enigmatic. Unlike the others, he speaks sparingly, but his observations are sharp, precise, and often unnoticed by anyone but Clara. She begins to realize that he watches with intention, noting small details about the ranch, the workers, and her actions. When she carefully arranges supplies in the kitchen, he notices the thoughtfulness behind it. When she navigates a tricky situation with the livestock or adjusts a meal to suit the men's tastes, his eyes linger a fraction longer than necessary, as if silently cataloging her abilities. This quiet attention unsettles her at first. She is unsure whether it signifies approval, judgment, or merely casual interest. Clara starts paying closer attention to him as well. She notices the way he moves, deliberately, without haste, yet with the unmistakable ease of someone accustomed to authority. His posture and gestures exude control but never arrogance. Even in moments of chaos, storms, runaway animals, or disputes among the Cowboys, he remains calm, offering guidance with economy of words. She begins to sense that he has a depth of experience and responsibility far beyond the scope of any ordinary ranch hand. There is a gravity to his presence, a sense that he is not simply part of the group but quietly orchestrates the life of the ranch itself. This growing awareness sparks both curiosity and a measure of anxiety in Clara. She wonders about his identity, his past, and the reasons behind his quiet demeanor. Unlike the other men who wear their emotions on their sleeves and assert authority through words and actions, he conveys his intentions subtly through observation, restraint, and occasional gestures that are almost imperceptible. Clara finds herself drawn to these small, silent interactions. A nod, a glance, a brief smile, though she cannot yet interpret them fully. Each encounter leaves her both intrigued and slightly off balance, challenging her understanding of the ranch's social dynamics. At the same time, Clara reflects on her own growth. She realizes that the quiet man's observations push her to be more attentive, deliberate, and conscientious in everything she does. She no longer approaches her work mechanically. She thinks ahead, anticipating needs, considering consequences, and striving for precision. In this way, his quiet attention serves as a catalyst for her personal and professional development. She begins to appreciate that leadership does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes, it is the subtle, watchful presence that shapes behavior, instills discipline, and inspires growth. The bond between them, though unspoken, begins to form in these small, quiet moments. He respects her competence without demanding it, and she responds with awareness, curiosity, and growing admiration. Though neither speaks of it openly, there is an unacknowledged understanding that the quiet man is significant, not just in his authority, but in the influence he exerts over the rhythms of life at the ranch. Clara begins to sense that her connection to him will be pivotal, though she cannot yet foresee how. By the end of this period, Clara has learned a valuable lesson, that observation, patience, and understanding are as important as strength and skill on the ranch. The quiet man's presence reminds her that relationships and respect often develop slowly, through actions, consistency, and subtle cues rather than words. For the first time, Clara feels that she is not just surviving on the ranch. She is becoming an integral part of it, her growth intertwined with the man who quietly shapes the world around them. As the days pass on the ranch, Clara settles further into her routines, mastering the demands of her job while gradually earning the respect of the Cowboys. She has grown more confident, resilient, and capable, navigating both the physical challenges of the work and the subtle social dynamics of the ranch. Yet, despite her increasing comfort, one figure continues to intrigue her, the quiet man whose presence she has felt from the beginning. He observes without fanfare, speaks sparingly, and moves through the ranch with an authority that is felt more than seen. Until now, Clara has assumed he is simply an unusually competent and reserved cowboy, but the truth is about to shake the very foundation of her perception. The revelation occurs on an otherwise ordinary morning. Clara is busy preparing breakfast, the smell of fresh bread and coffee filling the kitchen, when a discussion among the Cowboys hints at plans and decisions that require the final say of the ranch owner. Curiosity nudges her closer to the conversation, and she listens carefully, piecing together clues that the men unconsciously drop. They speak of his instructions and the owner's preferences, referring to the quiet man, though never directly naming him in her presence. Confusion and disbelief ripple through her mind. Could the silent, seemingly peripheral man actually be the person who owns this vast, sprawling ranch? Clara's heart races as she begins to notice details that she had overlooked before. The quiet man has always known exactly when to appear, how to give instructions without drawing attention, and when to intervene in conflicts or crises. The calm authority he exhibits in times of chaos now makes perfect sense. He is not merely observant, he is responsible for every decision, every worker, every animal, and every acre of this land. The moments of subtle approval she has felt, the brief nods, the quiet smiles, carry a weight and significance she had never fully realized. The revelation strikes Clara in a complex mix of emotions. She feels a surge of respect and admiration, understanding that she has been observed and evaluated by the person with the most influence over the ranch. At the same time, there is a pang of self-consciousness as she realizes that her actions, her mistakes, and her successes have all been quietly noted by the owner himself. Her previous assumptions about him being a distant, detached worker are shattered, replaced with the awareness of his true role and power. This new understanding changes the dynamic between them, even if unspoken. Clara becomes more conscious of her own behavior, aware that her every move carries more weight than she had imagined. She also notices subtle shifts in the quiet man's demeanor. The attention he gives her seems warmer, tinged with approval and curiosity rather than mere observation. He offers guidance more directly, yet still with restraint, as if acknowledging her competence while reminding her that he sees the bigger picture. Their interactions gain a new depth, layered with unspoken recognition, mutual respect, and the beginning of a more personal connection. The Cowboys, too, respond differently. Their murmurs of respect toward Clara grow stronger, and some even tease her in a new, more friendly manner, clearly aware that the owner himself has recognized her skill and courage. For the first time, she feels fully integrated into the life of the ranch, not as an outsider, but as someone who has earned a place through talent, perseverance, and courage. The revelation also plants seeds of curiosity and anticipation. Clara wonders about the quiet man's life, the burdens he carries, and the stories that shaped him into someone who can command a vast ranch with such subtle authority. She senses that understanding him will be a journey, one that will require patience, trust, and courage on her part. By the end of this moment, Clara's perception of the ranch, the men, and the quiet man shifts dramatically. She realizes that appearances can be deceiving and that strength, leadership, and influence often manifest in ways that are subtle, yet powerful. This revelation marks a turning point in the story. Clara now understands the true scope of the man before her, and the possibilities that lie ahead for the ranch, for her own growth, and for the connection that is slowly, quietly, beginning to form between them. Following the revelation that the quiet man is, in fact, the owner of the ranch, Clara's world shifts dramatically. The man who had been an enigma, a silent observer, and an almost mystical presence in her daily life now carries an entirely new weight. She can no longer see him as just another cowboy. He is the architect of the ranch, the one whose decisions affect every worker, every animal, and every outcome. Yet, instead of feeling intimidated, Clara experiences a mixture of respect, curiosity, and a subtle sense of connection. This sets the stage for the emotional bond that begins to develop between them. The first steps of this bond are small, quiet, and unspoken. Clara becomes more attentive to the man's preferences, noticing the little details that signal approval or disapproval. She learns, for instance, that he appreciates meals prepared with care rather than speed, and she begins to subtly adjust her cooking to align with his tastes, even before he comments. The quiet man, in turn, notices her efforts. He begins to acknowledge her contributions more openly, offering brief words of encouragement or making sure the other cowboys recognize her accomplishments. These gestures are understated but meaningful, creating a growing awareness in Clara that she is not just performing a job, but impressing someone whose opinion carries immense weight. Their interactions deepen through shared moments of practical collaboration. The ranch's daily operations provide ample opportunities for Clara to demonstrate initiative and for him to recognize it. For instance, when unexpected issues arise, such as a misbehaving animal, a supply shortage, or a problem with the workers, Clara takes the initiative to offer solutions, often consulting him in subtle ways that respect his authority while showing her own resourcefulness. He responds with guidance that is firm but fair, sometimes silently observing her actions, and other times stepping in just enough to steer her in the right direction. In these moments, Clara feels the first hints of trust forming between them. She begins to rely on his judgment, and he begins to rely on her reliability. The emotional bond grows not only through work, but also through personal exchanges. On quiet evenings, when the ranch is calm and the men have retreated to their bunks or the barn, Clara finds herself speaking with him in a more relaxed and personal way. They share small stories about their pasts, laugh over minor mishaps, and exchange thoughts on life that neither might reveal to anyone else. Though he is still reserved, his eyes soften, and a subtle warmth infuses their conversations. Clara notices that he listens intently, that his attention is not merely polite, but genuine. This realization awakens in her a sense of comfort and belonging that she has rarely felt. Their bond is also shaped by mutual recognition of strength and resilience. Both have endured challenges, Clara in leaving her familiar world behind and proving herself on the ranch, and the quiet man in maintaining the operation of the ranch with precision and patience. Each sees in the other qualities they respect deeply. Clara admires his calm authority, his thoughtful observation, and his quiet integrity. He admires her determination, intelligence, and courage. The unspoken admiration evolves into a quiet emotional connection, a sense of understanding that transcends words. By the end of this period, Clara and the quiet man share a relationship defined by subtle trust, mutual respect, and growing emotional intimacy. The bond is not yet romantic, but it is significant. It forms the foundation for deeper feelings and loyalty. Clara feels seen, acknowledged, and valued in a way she has never experienced, while the quiet man, through his measured attention and guidance, demonstrates that she is becoming indispensable not only to the ranch but to him personally. This emotional bonding marks a pivotal moment in their relationship, bridging the gap between employer and worker, observer and observed, and setting the stage for the challenges and deeper connections that lie ahead. Life on the ranch has become familiar and meaningful for Clara. She has proven herself as a capable cook, earned the respect of the Cowboys, and formed a subtle, growing bond with the quiet ranch owner whose presence has profoundly influenced her confidence and perspective. Yet, the tranquility of this new life is not without its challenges. The ranch, the men, and especially the quiet man present choices that test Clara's courage, values, and sense of belonging. This part of the story explores a pivotal moment where decisions must be made, both emotionally and practically, shaping the path of her future. The choice begins with external pressures. Word reaches the town that Clara's skills have drawn attention beyond the ranch, and other opportunities, or threats, present themselves. Perhaps a neighboring ranch offers her a higher-paying position, tempting her with financial security, or rumors circulate among the Cowboys, testing her loyalty and her place in the social hierarchy. Clara is suddenly aware that staying at the ranch is not merely about surviving day-to-day tasks. It is about deciding where her heart, values, and ambitions truly lie. These external circumstances force her to reflect deeply on what she has built and who she has become in this rugged environment. Simultaneously, an internal struggle unfolds. Clara begins to grapple with her feelings for the quiet man, whose identity as the ranch owner has transformed her perception of their relationship. She admires him, respects him, and feels a subtle, undeniable attraction, but she also fears vulnerability. Opening herself emotionally could make her susceptible to rejection or judgment, especially in a world where strength and resilience are so highly valued. Clara weighs her loyalty to the ranch against the possibility of leaving for a seemingly better opportunity, questioning whether she can maintain her independence while acknowledging her growing feelings for him. The quiet man, too, faces his own choice. He has observed Clara closely, witnessing her courage, intelligence, and adaptability. Her presence challenges him to reconsider the rules he has long maintained, rules about authority, distance, and control. He recognizes his growing attachment but also the potential risks. Misjudgments could disrupt the harmony of the ranch, compromise her trust, or expose his personal vulnerability. He must choose whether to reveal his feelings, trust her with his authority and heart, or remain silent, preserving the distance he has carefully maintained. This tension culminates in a critical moment, a scene that forces immediate action. Perhaps a crisis arises, a broken fence, a mismanaged herd, or a sudden conflict among the Cowboys that requires both Clara's initiative and the quiet man's leadership. In addressing this challenge together, they must communicate, collaborate, and ultimately decide, will they rely on each other? Acknowledge mutual respect and growing attachment and trust in their partnership, or retreat into the safety of independence and distance. The decision is symbolic, representing their willingness to embrace connection despite uncertainty. Ultimately, Clara makes her choice through a combination of observation, courage, and emotional honesty. She decides to stay, not out of fear or obligation, but because she recognizes her value, her belonging, and the meaningful connections she has formed. By committing to the ranch, she also implicitly acknowledges the quiet man's influence in her life and begins to accept the possibility of a deeper relationship. Similarly, the quiet man, observing her steadfastness and integrity, allows himself to show subtle but unmistakable signs of trust and approval, signaling that he is ready to accept the bond they have cultivated. This pivotal part of the story emphasizes personal agency, emotional courage, and the interplay of trust and respect. The choice is not merely practical. It is deeply personal, defining the trajectory of Clara's life on the ranch. Her relationship with the quiet man and the integration of her resilience and heart into a community that now fully recognizes her worth. The decision sets the stage for resolution, love, and lasting belonging in the story's final chapter. The tension and uncertainty that have shaped Clara's days on the ranch finally begin to settle as the story moves toward its resolution. By this point, she has grown from a newcomer navigating an unfamiliar, intimidating environment into a confident, respected member of the ranch community. The challenges she has faced, ranging from the Cowboys' initial skepticism to the violent storm and the revelation of the quiet man's true identity, have strengthened her skills, resilience, and self-assurance. Now all the threads of her journey converge. Her role on the ranch, her relationship with the quiet man, and her sense of belonging in this rugged yet rewarding world. The resolution begins with Clara fully embracing her place at the ranch. Her duties in the kitchen are no longer just tasks. They have become a source of pride and personal fulfillment. She has learned to anticipate the Cowboys' needs, manage the kitchen efficiently, and handle crises with calm and precision. Her skill and dedication earn her not only respect, but genuine friendship from the men she once feared or who once teased her. The playful camaraderie has evolved into acceptance. The Cowboys now rely on her as much as they rely on each other, and she feels an undeniable sense of community and belonging. Central to this resolution is the evolving relationship between Clara and the quiet man. Through subtle gestures, shared experiences, and mutual respect, a bond has formed, one that blends admiration, trust, and a growing emotional attachment. With the tensions of doubt and uncertainty behind them, they begin to interact more openly. The quiet man, whose stoicism and restraint often masked his true feelings, begins to express his regard through words, small acts of kindness, and gentle attention to her well-being. Clara, in turn, acknowledges the depth of her respect and affection, recognizing that the man she once thought distant is someone who values, supports, and even cherishes her. Their connection is no longer tentative. It is grounded in understanding, trust, and shared experiences that have tested and strengthened their bond. The climax of the resolution comes through a final act that symbolizes unity, trust, and partnership. Perhaps a new challenge arises on the ranch, a demanding herd movement, an unexpected weather event, or a task requiring both leadership and teamwork, and Clara and the quiet man address it together. They rely on one another's strengths, communicate seamlessly, and demonstrate a synergy that reflects their emotional and practical partnership. In this shared triumph, the other Cowboys witness the culmination of Clara's journey from outsider to indispensable contributor, and they, too, celebrate her achievements. Beyond the practical success, the resolution carries an emotional and symbolic weight. Clara realizes that she has found more than work or stability on the ranch. She has found a place where her talents, resilience, and heart are fully recognized. The quiet man, who once seemed untouchable and enigmatic, has become her ally, confidant, and potential partner. Their relationship is emblematic of the story's broader themes: respect born of action, connection formed through trust, and love that grows quietly but steadily under the pressure of shared challenges. As the story closes, the ranch itself reflects the harmony achieved between its people and the land they tend. The animals are cared for, the kitchen is bustling with skill and order, and the Cowboys operate with a sense of unity and morale strengthened by Clara's presence. The quiet man and Clara share a moment of mutual recognition, a silent acknowledgement of their journey together, their bond solidified by trials, patience, and understanding. In this final chapter, the story emphasizes that true belonging and meaningful relationships are earned through perseverance, courage, and a willingness to see and appreciate the strengths of others. Ultimately, the resolution provides closure not only to the plot but to the character arcs. Clara has transformed from a nervous newcomer into a confident, respected member of the ranch, capable of facing challenges with intelligence, courage, and compassion. The quiet man has revealed his heart through subtle guidance, patience, and recognition of Clara's worth. Together, they stand at the threshold of a future that is grounded in respect, partnership, and the quiet promise of love, leaving the story with a satisfying sense of completeness, hope, and emotional resonance.